Today, 7th of May, situation getting worse and worse. More and more of my life getting internalised. Pressure on my body getting worse and worse. Power of my own life getting beyond crazy. The worst thing I've ever seen in my life. This, like I said in every video, this snagged the drive over my own life and created a full institutional self in it, so it's institutionalised somebody. It's suffocating me, I'm struggling to breathe. The pressure on my internal organs is vast. Just brain state getting worse and worse, control state. In other words, I'll summarise what I'm saying, they've institutionalised somebody in a control state by pulling the power over their own life out. But they spent the last 15 years, 20 years, pulling bits of my power out to make it worse. So they've institutionalised somebody, but then gone out into my life with full access for 15, 20 years and stripped it out to obviously make it more severe. So they've institutionalised somebody with control over him and spent 15, 20 years making it one of the worst cases of institutionalisation system. I can't breathe. They've carried on pulling my power out to the extent where I've got it's inhumane to stay alive for 6 or 7 years and they're still doing it. The pressure on my internal organs is a crime against humanity. It's because they snagged the power of my own life, and it's just they're still pulling my power of my own life out. Getting worse and worse. They've been making internal transgressions all day, mortification of self like they do every other day. Pressure on my skull's getting worse. Pressure on my internal organs. I can't breathe because they snagged my ability to breathe for myself. It's getting worse. It's a crime against humanity. I can't believe they'll say it's mental illness. The weight of the mental illness label doesn't cover what they're doing. The fact is that if they wanted to make somebody mental ill, they're going to have to go to higher superiors because they're just doing what they want. They've snagged the power of my own life and stripped my entire life out into it, so they've overwhelmed somebody. But they've been doing it now every single day for years. Mortification of self and internal breaking sessions, stripping away the self or sense of self into the institutionalisation process. So they've created an institutional self and spent every day bombarding me with accusations or breaking down the self to overwhelm somebody or institutionalise somebody internally. Up to 3,000 times a day with horrific transgressions, committing serious Irish crime. The transgressions that they're bombarding me with internally or accusations to break down the self. If I said some of that stuff to people in society, anybody, I'd get a life sentence. So just to put it into perspective as to what I'm saying is, the internal breaking sessions that they're committing crime against me while stripping my power out every day, they've been relativising smelly pussy, smelly fanny, they've stripped all my sex drives out every single day, up to hundreds of times a day. They've started committing Irish crime against me with some of the most horrific, whole life order-worthy crime. So they're making Irish transgressions or replicating Irish transgressions that would leave me on an whole life order, anybody on an whole life order, life sentence for I've met people that have got 99 years for these transgressions or this wording or this terminology. It means they've lost a life for it. But somehow they've got full immunity or they think they've got full entitlement to get away with it because of this label costing me every day. Like I'm struggling to breathe now. They snagged my ability to breathe about 6-7 months ago and they've just been pulling it out every day. It's getting worse and worse. The pressure on my internal organs is getting worse and worse. The power of my own life now is vast. They've internalised 20 years, a full lifetime. So behind me speaking now, there's a full life, a 20-year-old's life internalised, or a 20-year life. That's a full lifetime that I've lost to internal transgressions. That is a full lifetime I've lost for internal breaking sessions behind this. So if they bring it forward, it can kill you. It's nearly killed me twice. So the problem is it's illegal. They say we've not tried to kill you. I'm not saying that. The fact is the process has nearly killed me twice. Nearly twice it's killed me. It could potentially be more. I'm saying twice, it could be 3 times. So if you go off their middle class theories of what they want to uphold in society, it could have killed me about 7 times, 8 times because of the amount of pressure on my body, and they still won't pull it out. The quality of life getting worse and worse, my ability to breathe getting worse and worse because they snagged my ability to breathe for myself. My speech is getting worse and worse. The pressure or power of my own life's getting worse and worse. Like I said, it's coming up to 2 years now I've been homeless. It's coming up to 6 years unemployed. It's 7 years, soon to be 8 years since I've concluded sexual intercourse. I'm now 32-year-old with an entire lifetime internalised, with my sex drives internalised, focus, they've stripped every single bit of me being able to think for myself out. All I put up with 3,000 times a day is officers replicating sorry and stripping out any recognition of them doing anything wrong, causing horrific, severe, catastrophic, degrading and humiliation all day. And I've just seen a phone on a wall, unoccupied, bang at the side of me as I've made this video, a brand new iPhone. A builder's obviously left it there whilst doing some housing work or some kind of building work. It's probably worth 300, 250, 300 quid for a new iPhone. I've obviously not paid any attention to it, but as I'm making this video, I should have just knocked on and give it him and said just move your phone, because it's outside and it'll get rain and wet on it and it'll break. But I've just realised that will be worth 10 times the price of the phone that I got locked up for, that the officers or the system's still using to do this to me every day, costing me my life. So the phone I've just walked past whilst on this video that I could have stolen, or that would be theft by finding potentially because it's not occupied, I've obviously not paid attention, but it's probably worth 10 times the value of the phone that I got joint enterprised for 11 years ago. So the power I pick up every day, or my everyday life, for the actions I've committed 11 years ago, has probably surpassed the crime or the actions on this particular evening, maybe 10,000-fold. So by 10,000 easily. I don't just mean by heroic acts like what that is, where I've just left a phone that could have been stolen. I mean in my everyday life. The fact is, to be joint enterprise to a £20 phone snatching that you had no physical involvement with, to the system still to be using that to this day, 11 years later, where I'm in a critical condition, 32. I've not been in work for 6 years, not concluded sexual intercourse in 7 years, nearly 8 years. I've been homeless for 2 years. The fact is, this is my point about this label they're using about this spurious mental illness that they've run off with my life. I'm dead, I can't do anything. I cannot defend what they've done. They've controlled me in a controlled state to speak out about issues that I don't want to speak out about, that I don't suffer with, to make their own power. So Dave wrote my life up in the system as a suicide case when I've got no signs of mental health issues, I've got no problems. They've gone into my life and obtained their own evidence. So they forced me to speak out about stuff in a controlled state and relativise you're guilty, you've got to get a solicitor. You shouldn't have to, they've made me, in my institutional self, a large portion or a significant amount of my life being pulled out into me being a liar and guilty. And they've made a significant portion of my institutional self my responsibility for not going guilty, and I'm a liar. So that's obviously cost me holidays, that's cost me my future.